I am Raemie. I also like shooting rabbits. Hi everyone, my name is Raemie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week we are diving into what I do pretty much every single weekend with I Do Hair and Makeup Artistry, and this is bridal. So bridal season is coming up, especially for us right now, and we're about to get super busy and I'm so excited for bridal season. But this is a tutorial on something that I tend to see a lot with some of our brides. It's not necessarily every bride's dream to look this way or have these kind of colors, but this is something that I see, and it's more of a neutral look. It's more of a, it's a little bold, but it's a little fancy, and it's just more of the let's kind of play around and go with it. So I'm really excited to show this to you guys because some of you guys might be future brides of ours, I don't know, but it's really exciting, so I really hope you guys enjoy this one. And without further ado, let's get right to it. First, we're going to go into the Lorac Behind the Scenes Eye Primer, and we're going to take a pea size on our finger, and we're going to rub the primer all over our entire lid. So it's going to be from our lash line all the way up to our brow bone, as well as all the way into where your nose starts, and then all the way out as far as you would probably put on your eyeshadow. So it's a personal preference, but I stop at the end of my eye here. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to take the Temptu Pro Invisible Difference Finishing Powder in One Light, and I'm going to take a fluffy brush and just set in the primer so that way it's not too sticky and it's easy for you to spread over the eyeshadow. Before we start with the eyeshadow, we're going to go in with the Temptu Pro SB Concealer Wheel, and I'm using the second to lightest color, and I'm taking a flat squared brush and I'm following the bottom line of my eyebrows. So I'm concealing it, but I'm sharpening it as well. So it's kind of like, sometimes it can hide if you haven't plucked your eyebrows in a little bit. So it kind of hides some of the hairs that might be there, but it also, what it does is it sharpens out the bottom part of your eyebrow, especially if you want that, you know, the defined eyebrows or the nicely shaped brows, so it definitely helps to do that. But it is a color that's just a little bit lighter than my skin, so it would go well with a natural highlight and the highlight that I'm going to put on later. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my Lorac Pro Edition 1 palette, and I'm going to use the color Taupe as my medium crease color. So this is going to be the transition between the dark browns and the lighter colors that I do for later, but this is going to help now. So I'm going to take the taupe and I'm pulling it into just the crease area of my eye. So I'm not going into my lid, or I'm not going too high up to my brow bone. I'm just kind of going and following the natural crease in my eye and then blending it out with a fluffier brush that's clean. And that way you buff out those lines so later it's all nice and even and smooth. Because especially on someone's wedding day, you don't want to have like harsh lines or anything, because people are taking photos of a bride and it's super important that people know that the bride is just like flawless because it's her day. Next step is to go into the same Lorac Pro Edition 1 palette, and I'm going to use the color Sable. And with Sable, I'm going to put it basically in the exact same spot I put the taupe. Now, I'm putting it into the crease, the natural line of my eye, but I'm not going as high up with the brown, and I'm also kind of bringing it in just a tiny bit into my lid in the corners here, and we're going to gradually start making it a little bit darker on the ends, not necessarily on the inside. So then after that, I'm taking the same brush that I've used to buff out the line of taupe to buff out the line for Sable, because then it blends in, because there's a little bit more of the pigment on the brush still from the taupe, so it's blending in those two colors together, and then that way it's still a little bit lighter on the outsides here and on the insides, as well as it starts getting darker and it's getting darker towards the corner. Next is going into the same Lorac Pro palette, and now we're using Expresso. And what we're going to do is just a little bit different than what we were doing before. We're going to take Expresso and we're going to pat it in a V shape on just the corner of our eyes. So we're going just a little bit, not even a third of the way in, but we are making a V shape so that we still have our lid that is fairly bare, and then we're taking that brush, or that same brush that we've been using to blend in all the other colors, to blend in the Expresso with the other colors, so again that everything is meshing together really well. We're trying to make some type of dimension because as a bride you have to know that you are trying to see your eyes, cheeks, and lips stand out from 20 plus feet away from people in the back row seeing you on your wedding day. So it's super important that you make sure that you're having the dimensions and that everything is blended. For my brow bone highlight, I'm going into the Lorac Pro 2 palette and I'm using the color Beige. Beige is usually my go-to eyebrow highlight because it looks pretty much great on everybody, and then, you know, it's not too much shimmer, but you can see it from a distance, which is, for me, it's super important, especially on a bride's wedding day. Now for our lid color, we are going to go back to the Lorac Pro 1 palette, and we are going to mix two different colors, and this is going to be Nude and Champaign. These colors are both on the neutral side. One's a little bit more pinky than the other, but they are really vibrant and they work really well together. So we're going to dip in both colors and we're going to press in the powder into our lids in the areas that were already bare. So we're not going to overlay them on top of the browns that we already put on, but if that happens, then that's okay. And so I actually got some onto my brown, so I'm going to buff out with just a more of a flare fluffy brush, and I'm going to just follow my natural crease and just kind of brush out the Nude and Champagne. That way the browns and everything kind of blend in again together. So now I'm just using leftover pigment from the Expresso and Sable that was on the brush that I was using before, and I'm just dabbing into my creases just to make sure that those pigments stay pigmented. So now for one of the best parts, and that's eyeliner. So we are going to go in with the Tarte Tartiest Clay Paint Eyeliner in the color black. And this product is super cool because it does have like a little palette area for you to actually put your eyeliner so that you can brush onto your brush. If you want to know how you do wing liner, I do have a video that I have done wing liner before, so you just go ahead and I'll leave that link down below and check that out if you guys want to learn more about how to wing liner. But I am using this product because this product is phenomenal. It's amazeballs. So we're gonna go ahead and use that, and we're going to create a winged liner. Most brides tend to like wing liner unless they're not necessarily used to it, of course, but it does kind of help give that effect that you're a little bit more bridally and you're a little bit more out there. I am wearing lash extensions, and with lash extensions there comes a little bit of taking care of them. So instead of using mascara, I do use the black diamond coating for eyelash extensions, and this is more of a water-based product, so it doesn't break the glue or it doesn't hurt your lashes or hurt your eyes, and it just naturally just kind of falls off like when you wash your face later on in the day. I like to pull out the brush, and I like to use my thumb as a guide so that I'm not pulling my lashes just out on accident, and I like to use my guide and place them underneath my lashes and then kind of brush them into like an upward motion, so it's kind of like curling them as I go. Lash extensions on your wedding day are one of the best things that you can do for yourself as a bride, because you think about it, you're gonna have your wedding day, and then most brides tend to leave, you know, on their honeymoon within a day or a couple days after their wedding, and what not better than to be laying on the beach with long eyelashes knowing that you look like you have makeup on but you don't, and that's like the best feeling in the world. It's great. So if you're ever in Tucson and that's where you're getting married, call Melissa, the owner of @Lash, because she is amazing. So I am wearing volume lashes that Melissa has done for me, and if I was a bride, I was rocking these. I've been rocking them for 2 years now. I go to get my lashes done like it's church. I go every 2 weeks. So I'm going back in with the SB Concealer Well once more from Temptu, and I'm mixing in two different colors, and I'll point them out to you, but I am mixing two different colors as my concealer for my under eye, and I'm just basically putting it into my eye socket and pulling it up all the way up to my temple and using more of a waxy brush and patting that into my skin so it doesn't smear, but it's laying on top of it and it's mimicking it rather than, you know, sinking in. Then I'm going to use a beauty blender to pat that product in and make it stay longer. I am then setting in my concealer using the Temptu Invisible Difference Finishing Powder in one light, and again, just like my lids, like I did with my primer, I am pushing in the powder into my lids everywhere that I put in the concealer. I am now going to go in with a Morphe S20, and I'm going to dip into the Lorac Pro 1 palette, and I'm going to dip it into the Taupe as well as the Sable color. So I'm dipping in and mixing in those two colors, and I'm brushing it over and blending it onto my lash line. That way it's smoking it out naturally, in the sense that it's not a harsh line, it's nothing too striking, it's just naturally and soft and smoky. So for my face, what I'm going to do is go into the Too Faced Medium Deep Matte Bronzer, and I am going to use this to sink in and like deepen my cheekbones just a little bit, as well as give some sun-kissed look to my face. So as a bride, I totally feel that the most requested is to make sure that they look good, they look tan, they look the best that they've ever looked before. And so it's super important that we're kind of chiseling out what we want, what we don't want. And so we're gonna put in the matte bronzer first, and then for some added depth and some added more of a dewy type look, shimmery, bridal-y look, we're gonna go in with the Wet n Wild Starlight Bronze. And so we're going to do the exact same areas as we did for the matte. So what the matte does is the matte is more of a natural, this is how your skin should naturally look. And then we're deepening the bronzer with a little bit of the darkness, but it's a little bit more of a shimmer to it. So we're giving ourselves a glow and making our skin look more glowing and fresh and light and vibrant. So we're putting in the bronzer into our cheekbones as well as our temples, foreheads, even out chiseling out our jawbones, pulling it down to the neck area. Next is the blush. So again, like I said earlier, we want to see the eyes, cheeks, and lips when you're standing on the altar and away from, you know, all the people in the back row. So one of the most requested things is people like the gold and the dewy and the nice skin. So personally, one of my favorite products, as well as some of my brides' products, is the NARS Orgasm Blush. So this one is super great, and it works with many different skin colors because of the gold pigments to it. And it's not too overwhelming. So I like to smile at myself in order to find the apples of my cheeks, which are the areas in this here. And this is where the blush goes. We don't want to pull it too high into our eye sockets, but what we're going to do is make a U into our tragus area here, so to the corner of our ear. So we're just making a U and pulling into that blush here on top of the bronzer. That way it's all blending together and you have a nice pop in your face. And now for some camera tricks. So what we're gonna do is now we're gonna go into the highlighters. So first I'm gonna use a cream highlighter, which is Benefit's What's Up. And I'm gonna put it in the highs of my cheekbones, the Cupid's bow, and I'm actually making an exclamation point on my nose. So we're gonna put a little dot on the tip of your nose, as well as skip a little bit of an area and then pull a line here on the bridge of your nose. Then I use my finger to blend out those areas, that way that they're a little bit more not as harsh. There's not harsh lines. It looks not natural, but necessarily it makes your skin look bright and awake. And then on top of that, what I like to do is use the Makeup Forever Compact Shine On in the color Flesh. And I just take a fan brush and I overlay both the highlighter. So I put the powder on top of the cream, but the powder is a little bit more light. So I also put it on the top edge of my temples here, all the way up above my brow bone, and then lip, and a little bit on the chin where my lip curves in naturally. So now this is more of a subtle highlight, so when the light hits you or the camera flashes at a certain angle, you have that nice healthy glow going to your skin. So for our lips, we are going to go a little bit more on the pink side, a little bit more neutrally, because we did go a little bolder on our eyes. And so again, eyes, cheeks, and lips, everything needs to stand out and not overpower each other. So we're going to go in with the NYX lip liner, Peakaboo Neutral, as well as on top of that, we're going to put in MAC's Politely Pink lipstick. So now this is going to be more of a neutral look. It's a little bit more on the pinky side, so you can definitely go back and forth with what you want, but this lip I feel like works best with this eyeballs. Alright everyone, there you have it. There is your bridal tutorial, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one because this is totally up our alley. If you do recreate this look, please hashtag I do hair and makeup artistry and Raemiemkeup. That way we can see all your pretty pictures and all your work. If you have any comments, any feedback, leave that down below in the comment section. And also give this video a little thumbs up, a little share it with your buddies, share it with your bridal friends, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you next week.